Right, that is being managed by quantitatively managing the degree of neurosis, and at that particular level, the techniques of handling. One is to maintain the stability. Perhaps that is what it was left out earlier, why after success narcoanalysis, the study revealed 100% success rate. It is already published in Lancet. So when such a particular technology has not come to the light of the day, from 1960 onwards, there are certain legal impediments, that's all, not because of the inferiority of the technology. The very superiority of the technology has been left, has been studied, well studied, established, but only they gave us a scope. Look, it can become a successful tool provided you successfully handle neurosis and malingering. That was. And after that, no work has been done. It is only in our lab we have been able to focus on these two aspects and see narcoanalysis has now become a tool of acceptance for crime investigation. Here again I should say for the organizers, see, the session is called methods of interrogation. Brain mapping is not a method of interrogation at all. It is only narcoanalysis which is a method of interrogation. Small correction to be made, I think the chairman will make a note of it and then give scope for its correction. So anyhow, you understand now I am playing with the two factors. I am deciding the quantum of neurosis now by number one, handling the drug concentration, and number two, the rate of administration of the drug. These two factors quantitatively control the neurosis. At a desired level of neurosis, Dr. Malini will take over and handle the individual for information. Once this particular, and you see, this particular equilibrium is very, very fragile, as I said, because I am varying two parameters. One is the drug concentration and another one is the rate of administration of the drug. Therefore, what happened, the person who has reached the state of disinhibition, he is to be held longer in that state of trance. But for various reasons during the procedure, he starts slipping towards awakening stage, comes back to awakening, goes again to the trance, and little degree of concentration is infused little more, he slips into sedation. So what, he will be virtually floating in 2 to 3 different states. He is there in the trance, tries to slip himself to the awakening stage, tries to slip himself to the sedation stage. It is the anesthetists and the forensic psychologists or clinical psychologists who would definitely monitor. There are various monitors are made, and who would look at what stage he is and how he should be handled. So the techniques of using that individual in the awakening state when he comes back has to be different in a state when he goes to the stance and then goes further to the sedation. From when he is in the sedation, he has to be brought back. Dr. Malini has the technology to bring him back to the trance and focus all the important things only in the state of trance. So therefore what I wanted to tell you is that man is not held rigid in the state of disinhibition. It is always floating. This slippery from one division to other is possible because of all these controllable biological parameters. And when this happens, this is a particular study which has been made to demonstrate how with pentothal delayed permeability is possible, and this is the one point of focus what we are using in the narcoanalysis. Now when a state of disinhibition is achieved, where he is in the state of trance, at this stage, once the disinhibition occurs, it has some characters. The state facilitates a positive handling of negative emotional responses. That is one of the important features of the state. And more important, I want you to recognize is even in this state of trance, they have deliberated this issue. The revelation made by the individual under the state of trance is voluntary. It has been held by Madras High Court. There is a decision available. I leave it to Professor Ramakrishna to talk about it sometime later. But here, the focus I want you to make is, I have not driven him to a level of unconsciousness. He stops, he recognizes who are there, he recognizes the question, he only answers. If he doesn't have an answer, rather he prefers to sedate himself or slip himself to the sedation, right, rather than answering. So one commonality is again between brain mapping and narcoanalysis is there has to be information in the brain available about a particular act. If that is there, he responds. If it is not there, he doesn't respond. Any amount of the drug any amount of control of biological parameters, he does not have any information at all. So therefore, identification of innocence, we have done it, we have found, yes, it is possible. Of the people who have examined now, about 25 to 30% innocent individuals we have been able to identify. Now this state, the state of disinhibition, this helps in rapid exploration and identification of underlying facts. As you know, conflicts, unresolved feelings about the past events, information which could not be revealed under conscious awareness is possible to be obtained in this particular state. Yet another factor I want you to recognize here. Number one, you have already said, is not in the unconscious state. The second important factor I want you to recognize is, it is difficult for a person to lie at this stage. Technology have gone far ahead in the current days. If a person is lying, the region of the brain from which the lie is being manifested can also be picturized by using functional MRI. It is possible for us to locate the region of the brain now from which the lie is manifested. Now here, manifestation of a lie, he has to be able to manifest a lie, you spend some amount of energy to find out an answer, and that degree of capability is not there in the individual, right? The manifestation of lie is not possible at this stage. At least it is very, very low. Otherwise, if he has rather unknowingly stepped into awakening, he may manifest, but he will not manifest in the state of trance. That is very well established fact. Probably, if you can make an analysis of whatever information that is revealed, recovery is made, individual identified, right, there is success rate, what we have found is 95 to 96 success rate we have been able to find. Therefore, manifestation of lie is very, very rare when a person is in the state of disinhibition. The reversal from the stage occurs immediately after the administration of the drug is continued. This is yet another plus point for narcoanalysis. Once you stop administration, finished. Whatever drug that has already reached the brain concentration and whatever drug that has gone into the blood concentration barrier will be depleted immediately, disproportionates itself and deposits in the tissues. It doesn't deposit in the heart or lungs or even in the kidney as certain other metal ions do. Lead, arsenic, so that no, I was put on narcoanalysis, my kidney is damaged. There is no reason. Therefore, if you understand the drug pathway, all positive factors, all negative factors can be reasonably accounted. So such complications are not there. It is only the drug depletion. How does it deplete? One way is by urine portion, say about 70 to 80% is excreted, and whatever remaining extra that is present is there only in the tissues, and it depends on, say, the half-life of that, and the drug dies down slowly. Now some pre-test requirements. I would like to focus one or two things. There are set of medical examination which is essentially to be done. Only when he is found medically fit, even if there is court permission granted to put a person onto the narcoanalysis, we will not put him onto the narcoanalysis. What I wanted to say by saying this is, no ethical boundaries we are crossing. Although the present days of science have gone beyond ethical boundaries. I can give you citation. In fact, look at the concept of surrogate mothers. Where is the law? Look at the concept of use of stem cells for treatment of certain diseases. If you look into the recent developments, most of the science have crossed ethical boundaries. No, it's only people, no, I am an anesthetist, why should I work for narcoanalysis? My ethics doesn't permit. Where is the question of ethics? Ethics are all have been answered. When he is medically unfit, we will not do it. When there is permission from the court, we will do it. Now, the present position I would request Ramakrishna to elaborate. There is a provision under CRPC, 53 CRPC. It doesn't contemplate even the magistrate's permission to be taken. Quite a few magistrates were asking. This is the system scenario. In fact, Hyderabad High Court has given a ruling on that. No, it is not necessary when the IO is mandated by section 53 of CRPC. That particular question currently is before the Supreme Court. There are 5 to 6 cases now. One of the case, the contention is only this. I'll skip the procedure. I'll request Dr. Malni to briefly tell you about the procedure, right? And one more thing here, the entire procedure is videographed. This has also become a debatable issue. When the whole procedure is videographed, earlier the scenario was we wanted to prove to the court, look, we are not violating any human rights. The entire procedure is transparent. All these video cassettes, the CDs have been given to the courts. Now there are about 12 courts who have given verdicts on Article 23 and then Article 21. But now the scenario has changed. Now look at, one day Dr. Malni was handling a terrorist guy. He says, yes, I have seen Telugu CD in Pakistan. That is the greatest danger. Now all those who are videographed quite become soft targets anytime later. Now the question is before us whether we should continue with videographing or only we should start giving the reports. We have not made any decision as such, but we are continuing with videographing the entire procedure, but that is now available for scrutiny both from the crime investigators and the lawmakers.
I think we are running out of time.
You want me to complete?
If we can just sum up.
Fast from the system. And there are no adverse effects attributable to the drug have been noticed even during the cardiac surgeries for about several hours, which you are all aware. And the information that is generated by both brain mapping and narco analysis, there is a flaw in the system, in the sense the investigating officer should know the information recovered by this are to find place in the appropriate frame of reference of law. Now one could be narco analysis, recovery of incriminating materials in large number of cases have happened, and recovery of individuals, and the information that is available find place in various other sections of law if it is effectively amalgamated. And this amalgamation is yet to be given a shape by both the forensic scientists, the lawmakers and the crime investigators. These are the statistics. How accurate is that? By various statistical analysis we have come to know the results in narco analysis as about 95%, and we have completed about more than 700 now individuals. And if you could say in the entire world, large number of crime data evolved out of narco analysis is only with us in FSL Bangalore. Anybody can come and take a look at. We have got so many CDs. Even if some psychiatrists are interested to look into, see, I would like to look into the delusion part of it and hallucination, although it is not there, they are all free to come and take a look at what we have stored in our data. Now these are certain cases. Only one case I will, with the permission of the chair. For example, the first case in Karnataka, what we have done is Kanakraj. He was an associate of Veerappan, right? He was a person who used to take a group of cows from the bottom of the hill to the top. There he used to get a piece of chit written by Veerappan, and then he bring that chit, take whatever he wants, like something like a logistic support, carrying rice, carrying dal and all to the top, and he used to come, but slowly he infiltrates into the system. When Dr. Rajkumar was kidnapped, right, he was already there in the team. He was brought on, and when he was put on to narco analysis, it is revealed a lot of information, how much money was received by Veerappan for the release of Dr. Rajkumar, out of which, how did he disproportionate the money to Kolathur money, and then his sister. All that money has been recovered now. Probably, if you can take back, when Veerappan was shot dead, everybody was looking into the forest to see whether there was treasure hidden. And in part, this was the first case, a lot of information, recovery was made, and the recovery has been filed before the jurisdictional court. Likewise, there are cases where innocence is established. And in fact, if I go back to the earlier slide one only, say here, the exclusion, 25% of the individuals we have analyzed have been found by narco-analysis. I will quickly move on. Now I have to conclude. I will only, the Professor Ramakrishna will deliberate on all this. These are all the High Court decisions which are available on narco-analysis, in which Article 20, Sub-Rule 3 and Article 1 have been deliberated upon. And in all these decisions, they have given a green signal for narco-analysis, saying they do not violate these constitutional provisions. And further, they have also said, particularly in the Madurai bench of Honorable Madras High Court, there is one more reference in the January issue, Criminal Law Journal, January issue, there is an article, the Gujarat High Court has given. I am yet to see that article, but however, particularly this one, they have discussed all this technology with reference to Article 21 specifically. And these are all the decisions that are available with regard to adaptation of narco-analysis. I will request the chairman to deliberate on this in his presidential address of the session. Now, before, how did some experts in the field of investigation, media, how do they react? These are all some of their views. And particularly the 11th congressional investigation, Abu Zubaydah, he was picked up in 2003. He was subjected to narco-analysis out of the boundary of US. See, we should say that we are at least honest. We go to the court, tell him that this individual is not cooperating, you please permit us to put him onto the narco-analysis. After court evaluating all that, permit us, okay, go ahead. This is required for the cause of investigation. That is not there, because in the US, there is no provision of law under which the narco-analysis can be done right away. Right? They take out of the boundary, and then the first man, he was put onto narco-analysis. And there is a lot of revelations about this case. And this has been reflected in a chapter entitled as Confession of a Terrorist by Gerald Posner. It is only after this, the US administration privately believes that the Supreme Court implicitly approved using such drugs in matters where public safety is at risk. Anyhow, coerced statement, there are a number of decisions. These are how some media people reacted to that. What they say is they want to prevent terrorism, they are going to do whatever it takes. That may include pentothal or even harsher measures. These are all some of the views of the media, so far as the guarding of integrity of the country is concerned. Now, this is one decision where the narco-analysis was debated at length. But at that time, it was scopolamine which was used for the narco-analysis. And they say that this is generally accepted as investigative technique, but unfortunately, this refers to a barbiturate which subsequently became banned. This situation is totally different when thiopental or pentothal sodium is used. Indiana Police versus Edmund is another decision where it clearly says the pinprick involved in delivering the truth serum is likely to be viewed as a minimal intrusion involving virtually no risk, trauma or pain, given the special government need to fight terrorism might be justified without probable cause or a warrant. If I go further, there are a few feelings that 14th Amendment also need to be amended appropriately. And at the end, to conclude, the society must recognize that the use of forensic science services, both in the lab and in the field, are integral to reducing crime and work to make that a reality. And finally, and this has been reflected in number of decisions. A committee headed by Justice Madhava Menon has preferentially considered the application of narco-analysis in the brain mapping. The report is available. Administrative Reforms Committee headed by Mr. Veerap Moily has made their impression, and then it is enumerated in the report that these are the technologies which are to be used for unearthing truth. And finally, with this, I would like to thank you for having patiently listened to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mohan, for
The organizers for having given me an opportunity to share some of my views about brain mapping technique. This technique is based on the fact that the brain has extensive record of all the information related to a particular crime, related to a particular event. Though they leave the crime situation without any evidence, brain itself is storehouse of all the information. So the events related to the particular crime, they are stored in an episodic memory in central nervous system. All these events are stored in an orderly fashion. Each event, each episode, they are stored in an orderly fashion. One event will not combine with another event. So each event, each episode has a specific and a separate neural network. When we try to recall a particular event, only the network of that particular event get activated and it is possible to recall. And all these events or all these episodes, it has a stamped information. When we try to recall a particular event, we also recall where exactly the event took place, who are all the persons associated with the event, and when did the event took place. So these are the stamped information. When we try to recall, all this information also we would like to recall. So all these events, they are recorded in the brain, they are retained in the brain. Hence, it is possible to retrieve them as an experience from the memory system. The memory system, it has a specific neural network that supports the specific recall of this episodic event. I had actually a view of nerve impulses, how it passes the information. Unfortunately, it is not possible to show it here. So, the topographic brain mapping is a technique that provides some of the direct evidence for us in assessing the central nervous system function, that is memory. In the brain mapping technique, we record the bioelectrical activity of the neurons by placing multi-channel electrodes